Good morning, dear students. This is block number 1 of paper 5th, and in this actually we are going to discuss about Jivan Vigyan. This is a newly and innovative subject launched by Acharya Sri Tulsi and Acharya Sri Mahapragya, in which actually they have a kind of mixture of science and yoga and different other things. Before we go into the subject, before we go into the different kind of understanding about the subject and about the different problems of education and then what was the need of this subject, first of all we would like to discuss about His Holiness Acharya Mahapragya. His Holiness Acharya Mahapragya was born in Chamkor, Jhunjhunu district on 14th June 1920. He became a Jain monk at the age of 10. He was announced the 10th Acharya and supreme head of Jain Shwetambar Therapan sect by the virtue of his extraordinary genius and prolificacy in philosophy, comparative religion, peace and non-violent studies, and so forth. His Holiness was a treasure house of infinite knowledge, and that is why he was popularly known as the mobile encyclopedia. He had also been called modern Vivekanand by eminent Indian poet Ramdhari Singh Dinkar. Acharya Mahapragya is well known for rediscovering Preksha meditation process, which is an integration of science and spirituality, and Ahimsa Yatra, which is termed as a revolution for peace and non-violence, and an attempt to bring awareness towards non-violent way of living. On the basis of his understanding of the different religions, he has devised his formula for peaceful coexistence, unity, and a positive outlook. As has been seen in the slide actually, that he was a profound thinker and he was a profound philosopher. He actually, as a matter of fact, was a great scholar of philosophy and the different other streams related to Oriental studies, Sanskrit, Prakrit, and other things. So, actually, he devised his own way of meditation that he called Preksha meditation later on. Science of living is a subject that is given by His Holiness Acharya Sri Tulsi because he was convinced that the subjects and the other things which were prevailing in the contemporary society were of not that use actually. And the all around development of a student was not actualized. That is why he entertained the idea of developing science of living. Science of living is a kind of contribution of Acharya Sri to the mankind, to the intelligentsia, in order to develop a non-violent and comprehensive personality. We will try to understand science of living, then we will go further. Education has 4 dimensions: bodily development, mental development, intellectual development, and emotional development. All these 4 are important and essential for an individual's growth, but unfortunately, our educational system concentrates on the physical and the intellectual aspects and neglects the two. Consequently, there has been a remarkable development of the body and the intellect, but the mental and the emotional development has not been made properly. Modern education hardly offers any scope for mental and emotional development. We wish to have a balanced system of education for our children, but we cannot find it. So we blame the entire system without thoroughly probing it. It is here that science of living helps us. To quote the words of Acharya Mahapragya, he says, in fact, science of living and balanced system of education are being used synonymously, and by the word of balanced is meant equal importance given to bodily and intellectual development on the one hand and mental and emotional development on the other. It alone can make education balanced. So Acharya Sri was clear-cut in the opinion that science of living is a mixture of different kind of aspects that are very much needed for the development of the human body, human mind, human intellect, and emotional quotient of the human individuals. Science of living gives equal importance to the different aspects which are needed to develop an integrated personality. There are 4 facts involved in a balanced education: the balance of the vital force, establishment of biographical balance, rousing faith in the individual's potentialities, refinement. There are 4 facts according to Acharya Shri, which are very much needed in a balanced education. That we have to have the balance of the vital forces, of the different forces. We have to have a balance of the different forces. And then we have to establish a kind of biographical balance in an individual, between individuals, and among individuals. That is very much needed, rousing faith in the individual's potentialities. And there should be a kind of feeling of faith among individuals. They must be interrelated, they must be interconnected. Only then, you see, they can come to an integrated development, and then refinement. The feeling of refinement should be there. What they are doing is correct, what they are doing is refined, what others doing for them is also refined. So these are important facets, they are the important facts. All this will give results of four kinds: bodily development, intellectual development, mental development, emotional development. And these above said four facts actually will create these kind of developments which are mentioned underneath. You can see bodily development, the development of the body, the development of the intellect, the development of mental, mind, emotional development. The study of science of living will help the students and their teachers achieve the desired results. They will have enlightenment and education as well. That is why the study of science of living will help the students in different perspectives, in the different achieving their different goals. Then we will try to understand the basis of science of living. Our body, breath, speech, and mind are the four pillars of our being. Without them, our activities cannot be properly managed. The most important part of the human body is the nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. The left part of the brain controls the right side of the body and vice versa. There is a system, an order in it. The messages from all the parts of the body are forwarded by the nervous to the brain through the spinal cord. It is the brain which decides the courses of action to be taken. The second important element which controls the body apparatus is breath. It infuses life into mind and the nervous system. It is a bridge between our inside and outside. We breathe in and then breathe out. We get oxygen out of inhaling and release carbon dioxide through exhalation. The third element is speech, which makes us different from animals. We can from society because we can speak. It is the base of society, for it alone brings coherence in thinking. Animals do not speak. It is only the human beings who speak. The last and the fourth element is the mind, which makes possible memory, imagination, and thinking. It is impossible to think of life without memory, imagination, and thinking. The entire process of development would come to a halt without the above attributes of mind. Life would be entirely meaningless. So, the Acharya Shri actually expresses the need, the basis of science of living through the different aspects of the movement of our body. And then actually further he says, as we were talking in the introduction also, that what was actually the need for launching this subject, what was the need, what was the essentialities, what were the things actually. Because of that he decided to launch this particular subject known as science of living. So actually before he emphasizes those aspects, he discusses the problems of education. What are the real problems of education? Because of them he had to launch that subject. He says, although the primary objective of education should be to develop a balanced, peaceful, unruffled mind, modern education simply attends to the need of making students liberate, worldly wise, intelligent, but not enlightened. It emphasizes on cramming, but not on thinking. Enlightenment will come from the science of living, whatever is the level of a school, whatever is the course. Tolerance and mental peace can never result from the present system of education. The science of living activates the inner potential of the learner and brings about an overall and balanced development of his personality. Modern man suffers from a state of uncertainty. Man's inner defenses need to be fortified more than ever before. It can be executed by combining formal education with training in the science of living. The science of living educates the mind, the speech, and the body alike. Educating the body means discipline of the body, the ability to sit in the same posture for a specific period of time. Educating the speech means discipline of words, control over the feeling of expression, It teaches the significance of causant speech and reasoned non-verbosity, while educating the mind means being free from the unbridled memory, uncontrolled imagination and thinking. So as a matter of fact, Acharya Shri decided and he understood that there is a particular problem, and the problem is of training actually. The training is not given, only theoretical education is given in the present and contemporary system. That is why that was the greatest lacuna, and that attracted the attention of His Holiness. Further he says, modern education is object-oriented. It concentrates on the object and the subject remains in the background. Being object-centric, it pays attention to the physical aspect of the education, woefully ignoring the emotional side of a man's personality. No doubt, man's basic needs are physical. He can achieve whatever he longs for only when he remains physically fit. So he earns, nourishes and feeds his body. Besides the body, he has senses, the mind, the language faculty, intelligence and the breath of life. The tragedy is that the entire process of education aims at the physical. It overlooks all the other aspects. Many educationists claim to have specific provisions for mental and intellectual development, along with physical development, but they ignore the importance of the imperceptible. Man is absent in today's education. The subject gets neglected and the objects taken paramount importance. So he very clearly mentioned that objects, the education has become object-based, and we particularly see the object, and the subject does not get any importance or whatsoever. The subject does not get any importance or whatsoever. Then actually he comes on the very critical and important issue of this particular book, and that is very important for you also. Why teach the science of living? The very talk of spiritual education invites controversy. Spiritualism is very often treated as sectarianism. The two words are not identical in meaning. Spiritualism is a state of mind where the feelings of attraction and repulsion disappear. Most people talk of objectivity, a dispassionate view and impartiality. They fail to do so because they are easily swayed away by their preferences, propensities and prejudices. The entire conduct of our life is managed and driven by our likes and dislikes. Spirituality demands bold experimentation, even if it is for a single day. One will have to develop discipline of thought and a balanced outlook. He will have to develop a sense of equanimity towards the happenings of the day, and then spiritual awareness will automatically follow. So actually he used to say that the subject is not teaching spirituality as a matter of fact, and the spirituality has been taken in a different context altogether. It has to develop the inner self of an individual, then it can develop an integrated personality, and that is what is desired through education. And that is what was the crux of his philosophy behind science of living. So that is what is propounded here. Then actually Acharya Mahapragya comes upon the development of an independent personality. How an independent personality can be developed, how an independent person can be made through the education, through the teaching of this subject that is known as Jivan Vigyan. The child learns everything from this world. As he grows and becomes socialized, he comes to have memory and imagination. He gets education. He learns from the environment, from his parents, relatives, teachers, and friends. It develops his personality, but it cannot be said that he has an independent personality. An independent personality is able to differentiate between a right demand and a wrong demand. He accepts the right demands and turns down the wrong demand immediately. The education we impart fails to generate this power in man. It is the spiritual education that empowers a man, and he can reject the demands made by the senses and by attitudes and desires. But this is not easy. One is to undergo training for developing this trait. One will have to go beyond theoretical knowledge. The development of an independent personality demands the fulfillment of three essentials: development of life force, intuition, and self-discipline. So he actually used to say that it is not the development of one particular aspect, but it is the development of all the aspects actually which are related to the human life, which are related to the human development. And he says that it is not that the theoretical knowledge has to be given to the students actually. He used to say that there are other components, there are other things actually, there are particularly other dimensions of the human personality that are to be developed by the education of this subject. They are the development of life, the development of life force, the development of intuition, and the development of self-discipline. These were the crux areas by the teaching of his subject that is known as science of living. Then further he says, the science of living is an experiment in intuition. As we have discussed in the introduction also, that this subject, particularly the science of living, it is an experiment. There is no doubt about it, because already he was doing something with the meditation, with the yoga, and with the other things. And then later on, as we have seen in the earlier chapters, that there were some problems with the education, and he had found some lacunas in the education, and then he decided to have an experiment and to launch a new subject, and that is what is seen today in the form of science of living. He says, water is important for our life. We cannot live without it. It quenches our thirst and cleanses a lot of toxins and other impurities generated and accumulated in the system. Not only our body, but also our mind needs cleansing. Meditation purges the filth of the mind. The purification of the mind is as important as that of the body. Experiment. We were talking about the experiment. What he says, that water is very much needed. Every now and then we drink water. We need water because for the purification of the body, for the different other needs of the body, for the different other needs of life, we need water. In the same fashion, we need the purification of mind also. And how the purification of mind will take place, how the purification of mind will take place, we have to go, in order to purify the mind, we have to adopt, we have to take up the subject. Further he says, our traditional system of medicine recognized the importance of purging the body of its dross. It aimed at the purification of body. Present-day medical practices believe in the suppression of the ailment. They do not go to the root cause of the disease. As we know very well, that the present-day medicines, they actually suppress. They suppress the symptoms of that particular disease. They do not go to the root actually. They do not kill that root. And after some time that the disease once again comes up whenever it finds a position or a situation or some kind of, opportunity when it finds it comes up once again. So, the science of living and the building of a new generation. Acharya Sri had a strong idea of developing a new generation and for developing a new and constructive society. For that, actually, he launched this subject. He says, we all know change is the law of nature. No human effort can alter it. Yet there are certain changes which are automatic and involuntary. However, there are other changes which are the outcome of our efforts. One can change only when one has a strong will to do so. Otherwise, it is impossible. Meditation and willpower are the two most important means to achieve change. The concept of change as suggested by the science of living is different from that of genetic engineering. In fact, geneticists envision a time when man could be custom-made. Whatever you ask, you get. The science of living does not believe in it. It charts out a course of 3 techniques, causing inner illumination, developing equanimity, and practicing tolerance. The inner illumination is but intuition. Once it is awakened, the process of change is set into motion. Intuition brings about complete confidence in a man, and he gets ready to change himself. We must learn to conserve breath power. Its wastage is disastrous. Conservation of breath power controls our base instincts and wild emotions. It is thus a spiritual necessity to maintain a reservoir of breath power. So, as we have seen actually in this slide, that Acharya Mahapragya had a particular idea, a distinct idea, a comprehensive idea for the developing, for the construction of a new and happening generation. The generation that can be confident and that is related with Indian culture and with the Indian values. He used to say that Without the self-restraint, without the meditation, and without, the inner penance, the integrated personality, the developed personality will not come outside. And if we are not able to produce that kind of personality, it won't be good for the coming generations. So he suggested the idea of science of living in order to develop a particular and a comprehensive and a developed society. The science of living and social life. As we know, man lives at the individual level and at the social level. He is both a type and an individual. None can be exclusively social or individual. People prioritize their preferences as per their needs. Most people live socially and not individually because it is human nature to do so. Those who want to go deep, those who want to get into the truth and know it, lead an individual life. Spiritualists and scientists are engaged in the search for truth. They live their own life. They are so absorbed in their mission that they remain indifferent to their physical needs. They forget even to eat and sleep, for they are obsessed with their work. They remember nothing except that they are to accomplish their task. An ordinary man feels that such persons torture themselves, but it is not so. Scientists and spiritualists follow a path not full of roses, but full of thorns. An average man cannot opt for such a dedicated lifestyle for the fulfillment of a purpose. He very clearly says that science of living and social life are interconnected. They are interrelated. That because we have to, after all, live a social life, we can't live an individual life. And in order to live a society, we have to socialize ourselves. We have to socialize ourselves. And science of living is a subject that makes us more social, actually. And it is a kind of integrated approach in order to develop a comprehensive personality. So he very clearly says that individuality and you see that individualness, they create a kind of killing nature. So that cannot help us for developing a new and a great society. So he actually connected both of social life and science of living together in order to develop a good society. The science of living and social life. Preksha meditation aims to transform life. It is a scientific process operating on the basis of a cause-effect relationship. As a matter of fact, this all etiology and teleology are inseparable if the objective is to effect change. The need of the hour is to combine the physiological and the spiritual aspects into one. Once they are combined, a new consciousness can emerge. Our aim is the transformation of consciousness, which can be made possible by meditation and meditation alone. Acharya Sri Mahapragya gives the importance of meditation in the daily life, in the social life. Those who are more social, they have to take the help of meditation. They have to be more concise. They have to be more integrated in order to transform their life, in order to transform the life of the society. So he was, in his opinion, was very much clear, and he was very much transparent, and he had the clear-cut idea that these things cannot be separated. These things are inseparable. These things have to go together. These things have to be combined in order to make a concrete society, in order to make a developed society. So that was his opinion, actually. And he said that the science of living and social life are interrelated, they are intermixed, and they are inseparable. So in order to develop a more social personality, one has to take the help of science of living. Change in consciousness results in behavioral changes. Jainism propagates non-violence and non-accusation vigorously. All other religions also propounded the importance of non-violence and mutual cooperation. Despite the propagation and emphasis of the religious saints, there has not been a transformation of consciousness. Consciousness is at the root of all things. All our feelings, all our emotions, attachments, passions, pugnacity are housed in our consciousness. So he was in the opinion that that through consciousness is very much needed. In order to develop consciousness, we have to take the help of science of living. And once the consciousness is developed, then our all rifts, our all dilemmas, our all problems will come to get over. So, in order to get a transformed personality, one has to take the help of the science of living. Transformation of consciousness can be made by sustained efforts. One will have to meditate it. You want to do or achieve something for the first 10 minutes, concentrate on the thought that you have ultimate potentialities. Then for the next 10 minutes, say to yourself that these potentialities have really been awakened and activated. And in the final minutes, concentrate on the thought that you have the ability to use your power and solve your problem. These are 3 stages of experiments. These 30 minutes so spent would optimize the results. As we have seen actually, that he has given a practice in experiments, and you will find similar experiments in the book, in the more. Further, he says, a practitioner of spirituality never clashes. He solves all problems by good will and mutual consent. In fact, when we think socially, we cannot fight. Meditation helps the practitioner to remain just. He judicious and fair in his dealings. He regards the high and low as the manifestation of the same consciousness. Consequently, all arrogance disappears. Peace and happiness cannot be purchased from any shop or mall. Peace comes from within. When our means of life are fair, when we do not resort to evil designs, we experience peace. When we are at peace, happiness will automatically flow. This is the kernel of philosophy which we should understand and implement. So actually, it was very much clear that the peace and happiness, these are not the purchasable things. We cannot go for these things in the market, and we cannot buy them, because you see, these things are not so that they are to be purchased from the market. And he, as we have discussed, that science of living is a new dimension of education, and it has opened up new opportunities in front of the people. As a result, discontentment increases so because of problems, and this is the subject that has opened, that has provided the new subjects and the new areas for education. And it is definitely, it can solve the different problems of the Indian education system. The science of living combines worldly success, spiritual progress, and yoga. Modern education centers on philosophy, anatomy, and psychology. If all 6 are combined, a total and integrated course for complete human development can be planned successfully. The example of Japan proves that a wholesome education can work miracles. If Japan is a great country, highly developed in every respect, its credit goes to its education, which motivates the students to work hard, to learn meditation, and to take care of emotions. They have successfully combined religion and science in their work and culture. So actually, it is a kind of mixture of the different aspects of education and life in order to develop a comprehensive personality, and it has been being done in different countries like Japan and other. So why can't we do? Modern education removes ignorance but remains insensitive to our sensibilities. That is why it cannot discipline our students. In order to make our students enlightened, we should introduce science of living at every level. In fact, it is our firm conviction that even religion cannot truly guide us unless it can be scientifically validated. The enormous and precious findings of science should be the decisive criteria and should provide the overall context for the practical use of religious instruction and the text knowledge. Only then will be able to build a new generation of people enjoying perfect and all-around health, physical, intellectual, and emotional. So this is what is the crux of this subject, and it is a new and enlightened thinking of Acharya Sri that can be used, that should be used for the development of society of India in general and of the world in particular. So it can be used actually, and this is, as I mentioned in the beginning also, this is a kind of, you see, some important slides that I have presented in front of you. In order to get the full and comprehensive idea, you need to read the book. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.